Okay, so sitting in your chair, making yourself comfortable. Try, if you can, for a few moments to be forwards in your chair and angling forwards a little bit to give yourself a bit of a feeling of being supported by your legs. If you find that you're straining in your back, as always, just sit back. Give yourself a few moments just to settle in, to arrive. There's always a sort of degree of organisation involved in getting to a thing like this, whether it's in your own home or somewhere else. So just letting that sort of fade into the background. Front and centre in your attention is this awareness of your body, your posture, just in very general terms to begin with, and just trying to get into the habit of returning to this on a regular basis. All the other stuff you will be there, the noises from outside, and you know, the part of your brain that's planning what you're going to do later, and so on. And you will get distracted by it, but just bringing yourself back on a regular basis. Open your hands together. It's a good exercise to help them with that, because it's very simple. Tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder. Your arm. And on the other side. And the upper part of the chest. Belly. And then legs. Stick back just a little. And as always, once we've got that sense of just arriving and beginning of the gathering of our attention, just making it more specific, more detailed, and in particular in this posture, looking to remind ourselves of this feeling of allowing gravity to work through our body to pull us into the chair in this instance, without resistance. And just notice whether you're trying to hold yourself in a particular way. It might be because you're not in the right position, so you might want to just shuffle around in the chair a little bit. Notice the gentle rise and fall in your belly as you breathe it in and out. Notice where you're in contact with the chair. Those are often the points where we start to resist, and you get this feeling of sinking into the chair. Come back up to the upright position, and again, if you can, be forwards in your chair for a little while at least, and you're sort of leaning back and feeling that you're being pulled into the chair. Tilt forwards very slightly and feel as though the weight of your upper body is being drawn down in, first of all, into your hips, of course, through your hips into your legs, then to your feet and drawn beneath. Feeling that support, the movement downwards will create an upward movement. Like being in water, when you drop down into the water, you feel pressure, the buoyancy of the water pushing you up, and you feel that rising up through your legs, through your back, through your skeleton. So as you sit here, there's an ongoing dynamic, that downward movement and upward movement happening simultaneously. You gently just turning your head a little from side to side, careful not to put any pressure on the side of your neck. Well, it should feel as though big muscles in your neck are being very gently massaged. You can build on that feeling if you just take one hand and place it behind your neck, just very gently sort of grasp hold of those big muscles at the back of the neck as you're turning your head. You can get a nice feeling again of being very gently massaged. It's good if you've got a stiff neck. This is one way you can do that. And with one hand, and you might want to swap over every now and then. A second way of doing this is you're going to clasp your fingers together behind your neck. Just let your head rest back into your hands. So it's actually on the neck, not on the skull. But your elbows drop down and gently bring the elbows together. And then you can either just keep turning your head or raising your elbows. It's just ways of helping to release some of the tightness and stiffness that builds up very much in neck and shoulders. And then hands in front of your shoulders and circle back. And with those little sort of massage techniques, be careful not to overdo them. Rolling your shoulders back. And then forwards. And the pattern of expansion and contraction in the chest and upper back. Hands down to your sides out, just a little bit rotating. Again, the shoulders rotating. So again, that a bit more subtle now, a bit of movement in the upper part of the body. Response to the movement of your arms. Winding around. Back the other way. Rest your hands. And then tilting your pelvis forwards. A rocking movement, more of your weight going into your feet, and then push back. On the side. See, I'm not bending my back. Trying to keep a reasonably straight line between shoulders and my hips. The pelvis rocking forwards and backwards. And feeling more of the weight going in your legs. If you can't feel that, it's quite a subtle feeling, then try this as you go forwards, just raise your heels for a moment. That may help to focus the weight more in the balls of the head. Don't keep your heels up because you're tightening up in the muscles of your arms. As you get more experience at this, then just be aware of the weight ratio between your hips and your feet. When you're back in this more upright position, 70% of your weight back in. As you go forwards, you get, so it goes from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 in your feet, and then back to 70. Again, just aware of the changing patterns in the upper part of your body. One of the very common images that we use in Tai Chi is to move through water. And Our ability to use these images as part of our intention really rests on our ability to maintain that focus of attention that I mentioned earlier. But if you're doing this in water going forward, you've got a sort of denser feeling in the front of your body. And then as you go back, it's like that dense feel will flow into your back. And again, as you get more experience with this and you're able to bring your intention to these subtle changes within the body, then you'll find that they become much more of a kind of driving force. Turn towards one leg a little bit, and now you can also distinguish in your forwards between two legs. The leg carrying the majority of the weight is the tall leg. Turning the other way, allowing your weight to press down, low down through your leg to press down on your foot. Pushing the foot gently in. And then circling. Change direction. Sit back, step out one foot, put your heel down, lower your toes, gently press into the floor, planting the foot, and then come back. Then again, plant the foot, and this time tilt forwards and just feel your weight going in and sit back. One more time. And then you're on the foot, turn in slightly. And extending the leg. And shout. And then letting the weight fall. And this time, alternating from left to right. Take your time, come back, plant, foot down, position, turn, raising the other leg. You're beginning to see, hopefully, how significant the placement of your foot and the transfer of your weight are. You can't transfer your weight well if your foot is out of position. And if your weight isn't moving, you're losing one of the very dynamic qualities in Tai Chi. One more on each side. Keep that parallel. Hands down by your sides. Looking straight up your shoulders again. Rotate your arms so your palms are forwards. Move forwards. Just letting the hands travel with you. Hanging directly down from the shoulder. A combination of movements, the transfer of your weight, feeling of movement in your upper body as you rock forwards and backwards with the fluidity from your back to your arms, to your back. Also the expansion and contraction in the chest, all coming together to make a very dynamic movement, but without much sort of independent movement with your arms and your hands, maintaining a quieter quality. Something we want to try and just hold as an underlying intention to everything. Now, so leaving your hands facing back and suspicion on castanet. So as you go forwards now, feeling the pressure of the water against the front of your arm, and as you go back against the inside of your arm, palm of your hand. You're beginning to become much more aware of sensations, patterns of movement in the upper part of your body. We learn to work with those deliberately, intentionally, so that they become much more useful to us. They're actually the changes that, when they accumulate, build into the bigger movements. So we have this three-part structure, I suppose you could call it. Three treasures of Tai Chi: body, mind, and movement, or energy, if you prefer the term. It's beginning to blend. And one more of these. And then rolling the ball. Imagine the ball in front of you, pulling the ball in towards you. Not focusing on lifting your arms so much as this pulling movement. As we go through the sequence of exercises, again, trying to maintain that awareness of the internal patterns of movement, of expansion and contraction, increasingly bringing them to the foreground. One more time. And your hands palming, drawing your elbows apart, then chest expand, and then vision spreads its wings. Opening up in the front of your body, contracting there. As you contract in your chest and your belly, notice what happens back. One more time. Next movement, a similar dynamic within the body, but externally a little bit more economic and compact. Press forwards, pushing away. It's a much stronger feel than the previous exercise. One more time. Then combining this with the stepping that we did. Turn, say, to your left, step out and plant your foot. Pulling back, bring that foot in, plant it down in position, turn towards the opposite foot, step, plant, transfer. So you get the foot in position, create the space by planting down. That leads us into last time. Coming back to the center, facing forwards again. Roll your fingers into a hollow fist. And then push forwards, rotating your arms. So the fullest extent they will be palm down if they're open. It's coming back, don't let your hips go behind. Your elbows go behind your hips. And that's when the hands will be palm. So you can see from here for once, I can use both hands in the chair. Slight sense as you go forwards, your hips are dropping back. So feeling that your back and your spine are lengthening, and that lengthening extending out through your arm and into your wrists and hands. So that you feel the movement building really from hips and buttocks with this rising movement extending through, in particular the rear of the body. Almost pushing your arms out. You want more of these? Open your fingers at the end of the movement, turn them palm out, winding out, and pressing forwards. So now, come back, get that lovely opening in the chest, and then there's a contraction there as the weight goes forwards. Get this. What a powerful feeling movement, because it's not just using our arms, not even just using the weight. But if I do it with one arm, but you come back, it's like this is exaggerated, like the chest does this and then this. So you can feel the energy flowing through your back and into your chest, building up behind your arms. Again, that lengthening through back and spine. Then your hands palm down. This time, going forwards, lengthening out, feeling the lengthening extends through your arms, polishing the table. As you go forward, make sure that your hips are dropping back. This is the base of your spine is growing downwards from the chair like the root of the pole. And turn your hands palm. Pushing down through your feet and hips, that same lengthening through your back, creating a wave-like movement, pushing your hands up, turn them over, contracting down through your back. Imagine cradling a ball in your arms, drawing the ball up, and then going with that image of being in water. Letting your hips drop, the shoulders drop, press the ball down, reaching down. So trying to find a way for all the movements to start with subtle changes within the body. And one of the things that is a constant, and it can be quite difficult to find this, particularly in the chair, is that a downward movement is always present. If you imagine there's a ball here and it gets compressed and then it begins to expand, it doesn't just expand upwards. In fact, it needs to the contact with the ground and the expansion from the ground in order to move your arms. Getting a sense of the movement, the energy flowing up through your feet, through your hips. Now, changing to the wild goose. Maybe bringing in this image of the bird in flight. Broader movement. So there's that expansion upwards, but because the arms are now being swung outwards, there's an opening higher up through your body. Maybe the image of the bird conveys some kind of quality of smoothness of movement, grace, strength of movement. Imagine waving a feather up and down. And then these floors, let your hands cross in front of your knees. Sit back, just parting the hands. Gentle expanding them. Making sure you feel as though you could have moved a little bit further for this extent of the movement. This is always the case in Tai Chi. Going to 80% of the full movement, leaving space within the body for that flow of energy, patterns of expansion and contraction. One more time. Letting your hands drop down, feeling the weight of your arms hanging from the shoulders. Focusing on one side, expanding, pushing your arm up. This is dragon plucks the stars. And then the other side extending from your foot through the side of your body to the fingers. The rush to change over from one side to another. One more time. And both hands back into the movement in front of your belly. Again, lengthening through your back. Doing the push up on the ground. Pushing your arms up just a little bit above your head. And then back down. And then pushing out some. And expanding and contracting, rhythm that runs through all of the practice. And an awareness of that rhythm, particularly the contracting, bring your attention back to this all important center part of it. An awareness of the center part of your body can be used to redirect your arms. If this time as you push out, you turn gently in your hips, it changes the angle that your arms move out. Back. And then in the other direction. So coming back and then facing forwards. It's called pushing in four directions. A central part of your body between pelvis and waist becoming an increasingly important point of focus. It's that part of the body we want to feel is dropping towards the ground, we're rooting down. And that part of the body drops and more stable. If we were standing, this would be an issue, of course, if we were stable. Central gravity would be lower. There's weight on the upper part of it. As we can see, the center part of the body guides the upper part of the body, whether it be in this exercise, straight up and down, rotation, or when we were moving the weight from foot to foot and rolling the pelvis forwards, like the center part of the body is guiding that process. And last but by no means least, that center part of the body, and from there down in to the ground, where we learn to bring our attention, our thoughts back to just to settle for a few minutes. Now extend your left foot, just rest the heel on the floor, knees forwards, feel your hips dropping back into the chair, and rising, feeling the movement up through belly and chest. Scooping the ceiling. This time, again, rolling your fingers into a loose, hollow fist, and some of the projection is upwards, grasping the tiger's ears. Starting off in a similar way to bird folds its wings, because there's an opening in the chest that then draws back. That helps to bring your arms around. There's smooth movement in the shoulders. One more time. Then on the other side, scooping the sea and looking at the sky. and grasping the tiger stance. Good. And then now go forwards and backwards again. And turn in a little bit. Turn in one direction, come back, and then back the other way, as we did earlier, polishing the table. Just raise your hand a little bit, and in one direction, extend your right hand out, and then as you sit back, draw the hand in, and then push forwards and out. Alternating circles. Just stirring the beans, and again, just recognizing the alternating patterns of expansion and contraction as they occur in your back, sides, your arms, shoulders. Guided by the center of your body, so that becomes a very firm, reliable focus of attention. That we begin to associate with this calmer, stiller quality, often described in Tai Chi literature as being like the hub of a wheel, remaining still while the wheel moves around it. And then blessing the emotions. Once again, rubbing your hands together and tapping over your head. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder, your arm, the other side. The upper part of your chest. Belly. And your neck. Now, pushing your heels up. Getting the muscles of your legs working well. And circling around. And then back the other way. And then standing. We're trying to bring that same quality of awareness, standing to the seated postures. One of the things that we're looking to be able to do is to find a positioning for the body which puts it more into line with the pull of gravity. Just rock your weight forwards and backwards in the feet. Can be helpful here just to have your hand on a wall or a chair or something like that. Give you a little bit of confidence in this because there's quite a lot of trial and error. If I go forwards a long way, I fall over. So reduce the amount of movement if you're finding that's happening. It's quite a small movement, and gradually let yourself come to rest. It's like if I take this pole, you can see here. Can you imagine that going up through the middle of the body? So I'm not bending my back or my head. I'm pivoting from my ankles. And in theory, I could take this pole and I could find a way of resting it on the floor, and then I could just let go of it, and that wouldn't happen. It'd be perfectly aligned. In practice, of course, that would be very, very difficult, almost impossible, or too many irregularities through that. But what I could also do is attach ropes or like guide ropes on a tent. And I could bring this into line, and I could use the guide ropes to help to support it, and so on and so forth. We're doing a similar thing with our body here. We're finding ourselves as close to being in line with the pull of gravity as possible, and using muscle, tendon, ligament, fascia in the way that you might use the guide ropes on the tent, the skin of the tent, to come up with a structure that is supported without having to be strained. The effort is distributed through the whole of your body. And again, this means less tightness, more space within the body for that internal movement, that flow of the energy. And then letting your hips sink down, dropping the center of gravity, and that aligned posture points as a quality called central equilibrium. You want to try and maintain that all the way through the movement. So seated, standing version of rooting down. You're not lifting up, you're pushing up from the ground. The whole body is seeming to grow like a plant growing out of its root. Easy and gently. Change into the standing version of the wild goose. Allowing gravity to draw your hips down. Letting the response from your legs to the ground, pushing you up, a rising, expanding energy that then shuts down. And then parting. One more time. Then turn one foot out just a bit, step forwards with the other foot. Notice the space across there. I've still got that width of step. And as we did in the chair, beginning to transfer your weight very much from foot to foot. Again, people more familiar with this. Remember, when you go into your back leg, 70% of your weight in the back leg. When you go forwards, it's 60%. And it's that sense of dropping into the foot that once again gives you that sense of a push upwards. Instead of upwards, we let it push us forwards or backwards. So the rooting down, the releasing in the hips, allowing gravity to work through your body, initiates a really important cycle of energy. Imagine what it would be like doing this on a bouncy castle. And then going into your back foot, raising the front toes, so more of your weight now settle down into your back foot. Front foot is turned out. Push your back knee forwards, let your heel rise. Gradually, more of your weight going down through each leg. And if I take the pole again, you see that as I move and as my back heel comes up, it moves slightly. So that, and imagine that going through the middle of my body, I would end up nicely in line over the supporting leg. And it's at that point that we can begin to step. We say, bring your front foot in, push out, put the heel down, low toes, pressing gently, let the weight follow. Bring the back foot in. This time, put the ball of your foot down, then the heel, then the plant. So the feeling of planting, imagine you're in the sea, paddling on sand, and you go to take a step and you push your foot into the sand to find the firmer sand underneath. And it just really helps with this sense of contact with the ground. Try that with your other foot forwards. Go back to the parallel stance. Step out. Imagine that center line through your body. First of all, fixed step. So learning to move from the ground. This is a much more stable way of moving. We often move around as though we're like balloons kind of floating upwards, our shoulders up and so on and so forth. That can cause us to stumble and to fall. This helps us to stay in line and raising the toes. Stepping in. So all of these things that we were doing in chair are now being applied to the standing movements. And then just take a few steps through, whichever way you have room for. And then changing direction. Have your right foot forwards and start with your weight in your back legs, sinking in, feeling the push forwards and letting your arms follow in the standing version of fisherman casting. Maybe just recalling that image of moving through water and feeling that flowing forwards and backwards. You're looking straight ahead, you're facing forward, you're moving forwards and backwards, your arms are swinging forwards and backwards. This time, as you go into the front leg, your arms start to swing up, turn to your left. Just let that separate your arms out, drop them down as you go back. And as they swing through, turn towards the front foot. This is wind blows the willows. Of your left foot forwards. Starting in your back foot, give yourself a moment to settle into the back foot and then push them and cast them. Going forwards and turning. And then again, you can go forwards or backwards. I'm going to go forwards. So I'm going to turn my front foot out a little bit. And next time I go into the front foot, back knee pushes forwards, upward comes. Step out, plant in the foot, go forward. Step my hands down, turn in, bring the foot in, and step. Having established this, I'm feeling confident in this. I can just raise the knee up. This is the movement dragonfly skims the water. If you find them trying to bring your leg up, this sort of makes you wobble around too much and you lose the flow, just keep the foot down on the floor. Just keep the toes down on the floor. Hips are dropping back the whole time. And you change direction. One more time. And just stand again. So go back to your chair. Return into that aspect of alignment, and remember alignment of your body and the rooting down, the dropping of your center of gravity are really part of the same process, and this gives us the stability for which Tai Chi is justly sort of known. When I'm standing up like this, you can see there's that center line. Obviously, it's imaginary. I would imagine it going down from the crown of my head. But just looking to find that internal alignment. When I sit, I do it sideways. I don't want to be like this. I'm not completely upright because I feel as though I'm being pulled backwards there. What I want to do is to tilt forwards a little bit. And that means that this line is more like that. So if you imagine the space between your hips and your feet, it's like your hips and your feet have formed a square. They're at the corners of a square. And that center line from the crown of your head arrives a little bit towards the middle of that square. And once again, it's about really how we feel supported. Supported by our feet, then the back supports the front of the body, feeling that internally we've got this support of the skeleton. Again, think of a tent. Yeah, in the tent, you've got these three aspects of the frame, the skin of the tent, the guy ropes, and all three are important. You can get away with missing a few guy ropes, but if you're missing the middle of the frame, you're not going to get very far. And so this distribution of the effort of maintaining an upright stance and the effort of moving comes out of this sense of alignment. And so there's less strain, less tightness within the body, and that creates the environment for this internal movement flow. So just considering that when we come to the last exercise, let your arms hang down. Embrace tiger, return to the mountain. As you push out, you'll reach a point where you start to tighten up again. Really just before that, you let your arms come around, drawing in, turn your hands palm down, and coming back. And from this position, feeling the push up again, pushing you out. So we're working between these two limits, the rooting down and the compression, if you like to think of it like that, and the extension. Both are important. But what we often overlook is that sense of coming back, to drawing back into your center, into the ground, in mind as well as in body. So there's a sense in which your thoughts may go out, nothing wrong with that, but drawing back and just touching that sense of quietness, of calmness, of stillness for a moment before you push out again. And this is one of the great things I think to take away from this. Embrace tiger, return. One more time. And rest. And just open. Lovely. Thank you very much for watching and joining in, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day and feel free to email me with any questions. Bye for now.